Okay, so now we move on to activity number 3, which is using web authoring software. Okay, so we will be required to create a web page over here. So it says you may use any appropriate software for this activity. So we will be using Adobe Dreamweaver for this activity. Okay, so task WA1, Duncansville Hotel Group has a website that includes information about the hotels. The home page of the website is index.html. Okay, so I would recommend you underline this point or something. Remember that the home page, when home page is clicked, it should go to the address of index.html. Okay, so Frederick wants to add web pages about a tourist attraction near each hotel. The web pages will be saved as London, Hong Kong, and Chennai. Okay, and the web pages must be based on this design. Okay, so over here the layout has been given, and you have the house style details mentioned over here. Use the logo you created in task AG1. Information about a tourist attraction near each hotel is stored in the tourist file. Okay, so the text content for the page can be found in the tourist file. Just check whether you have that file. Yes, I do have that file, and see whether you have the correct data. Yes, we do have about Chennai, we do have about Hong Kong, and we do have information about London. Okay, so then getting back to our question, so create a web page for the London hotel, save the web page as London. Okay, so like how we have been previously doing, when it comes to web authoring, I have said it's always best to get the layout in the form of a table. That way it's very much easy to insert the information and arrange it. Okay, so let's open Dreamweaver up. Type here Dreamweaver. Okay, it's a heavy program. It might take a few seconds to open up. Okay, so until that loads, let's look at this paper. So how we can break this down is we can break this down into one column, this into another column, and this into another column. Okay, so basically 3 columns, and this can be one row and this can be another row. Okay, so we can have 3 columns and 2 rows. Okay, so I'm going to go for a new HTML document, and I'm going to say insert. Hold on a second. I'm going to go for insert table, and we're going to go for 2 rows, 3 columns. We're going to keep the table width at 100% so that it will fit any screen that it is viewed on. I'm going to keep borders, and I'm going to click OK. So my table is now pretty much visible. Now all of you all will be, I mean, you should be knowing this by now, that we have 3 different views. The code view, this is if you are good at coding, you can stick to this view. If you need 50-50 of both, you can go for the split view, or if you are good at only at the designing part, then simply stick only to the design view. Okay, and this live button is basically which we clicking on this live button will show you how your web page is going to look on a web browser. Okay, so let us now start putting in the content. So over here, logo of the company needs to appear. So I have my logo over here, which is the DHE logo. I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to come over here and say Control V. I'm going to click OK for this, and I'm going to say alternate text is logo. Okay, so you do know that alternate text means if the image does not load, you can display some text, okay, giving an idea of what the image is. So you can simply type over here logo and say OK. This is obviously way too big, so from the corners, while holding the shift key, I'm going to be making it smaller, and then I'm going to adjust this to make it auto fit. Okay, there you go. And then over here you can see in the first row, column number 2 and column number 3 have been merged for company name. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing over here. Second column and third column, I have selected it. I'm going to right click table and say merge cells, make them one cell. Okay, and over here the company name needs to appear. So the company name is, I think, Duncansville Hotel Group. Okay, if you're not sure, you can always go to the beginning of your past paper. These details are all given. You can see over here Duncansville Hotel Group. So I'm going to type that over there, Duncansville Hotel Group. And if you go down to your question again, yeah, company name is put, and obviously the company name is like the main heading on this web page, isn't it? So let's right click and say paragraph format. We want it to be heading number 1. We want it to be the main heading. And then moving on, you can see over here the page title, image, and then below the image the text should be appearing. So we are starting off with London, right? I said we are starting off with London. So let me get the text of London. London is over here. I'll simply do a copy and a paste. Copy, Control C, and come over here. Now before I paste it, let's get the layout proper. You can see in the second row, the first column and second column have been merged. Okay, you can see second row, first column, second column have been merged, and the third column is kept alone. So let us also do the same thing over here. First column, second column of the second row, right click, table, merge cells. Okay, and you can also notice that the content is supposed to be in the center. So let me align center, align center. There you go, that's also done. And now let me paste the content, Control V. Okay, so London is going to be the subheading. Right click, paragraph format, heading number 2. And then I'm going to be bringing this down, keeping the cursor here for the image. So I need to put a picture of London over here. Inside my images folder I have all the images, and you can find London is over here. Control C and Control V. Say OK, and your alternate text can be London. Okay, image has been inserted. This text Big Ben is also once again kind of a subheading, isn't it? So you can make this heading number 3. Right click, paragraph format, and you can say heading number 3. Okay, so we are following the layout that the past paper is telling us: title, image, and then the content. We just have one more where we have to put the home page and hyperlinks to the 3 other web pages, which is London, Hong Kong, and Chennai. Okay, so let me put the text over here. We can make this smaller. We can make it up to here, and we can click over here and say, we can say home, then we have London, then we have Hong Kong, and finally we have Chennai. Okay, so do not forget, in your question paper this has been center aligned, so we'll do the same thing over here. Select this text, or just right click, align center. We'll do it for all of them. So align center, there you go. And do not forget, in your paper they told you that the home page is index.html. Okay, so when this particular word is clicked, it should go to index.html. So let me select this text, and I'll come and say hyperlink is index.html. Okay, do not forget to press enter. Now when London is clicked, it should be going to my London web page itself. Now I will be saving my London web page as london.html, isn't it? If you see the question paper, it says save the web page as London, and then the Hong Kong page will be saved as Hong Kong, and Chennai will be saved as Chennai. Okay, so now even though I haven't saved this web page yet, I will create an hyperlink to it, so that once I create the web page, it will automatically get connected. Okay, let me show you what I'm going to do. Right click, and I'm going to say make it a link. And I'm going to tell my computer, when that word London is clicked, it should go to my folder, which is in the desktop. Let me go back to desktop. I think I can find it over here. Desktop, and 2015 June. Inside this folder, there is going to be a file called london.html. Okay, so I'm repeating again, I haven't saved the file yet, nor have I created this file yet, but I'm creating a hyperlink so that the moment I save this file, the moment I create the London file, the hyperlink will automatically get connected to it. Okay, so I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to say OK. The same thing I'm going to do for Hong Kong also. I still haven't created the Hong Kong page, but I'm going to create the hyperlink. So once I create the page and click save, the hyperlink will automatically connect to it. So I'm going to say make link, and when this is clicked, it should go to the 2015 folder, and it should go to a file called Hong, and I'm going to keep a space, Hong Kong.html. Say OK. Okay, and the same thing I'm going to do for Chennai also. I'm going to make it a link. To my computer, go to the 2015 folder and open chennai.html. Say OK. So now I have created all my hyperlinks. Okay, let's see what else do we need to do in the layout. Background color should be pale yellow, text color should be dark blue. So this is supposed to be applied to the entire page, so you can simply come to modify, page properties, and you can say text color is supposed to be dark blue, and the background color is supposed to be pale yellow. So you say apply and say OK. Okay, so now your web page, you have done it, you have put the content, you have also put the proper layout. Okay, so now you can go on to save your web page as London. Okay, so file and click on save, and make sure in the 2015 folder, and I'm going to save it as London. There is no need for you to put the .html because Dreamweaver is already gonna put it for you. Okay, at the beginning you said, right, create a new HTML file. So when you save this file, Dreamweaver will automatically put the .html for you. So I'm going to click on save. So now my London web page has been done. Okay, and now I'm going to move on to my next web page, which is Hong Kong. Okay, so guys, this, I'm going to be using the same layout for my Hong Kong web page. Okay, so not necessary for me to start from scratch again, not necessary for me to start from zero creating a brand new web page. What I can do is I can use the same web page for Hong Kong. So look what I do. I come and say file, save as, and I'm going to create a copy. Okay, I'm going to save this as Hong space Kong, and I'm going to click on save. Okay, so now look, I have a London web page and I also have a Hong Kong web page. So now over here, instead of London, I'm going to be typing Hong Kong, and then let me get the Hong Kong text as well. So it's Victoria Peak, Control C and Control V. Victoria Peak is a sub heading, so paragraph format, heading number 3. Delete this image, press delete, keep the cursor there and get a picture of Hong Kong. Here we go, Control C, keep the cursor there, Control V, and type here Hong Kong. Okay, so that's it. That's because we're going to be using the same layout. The hyperlinks have already been done. Okay, the same hyperlinks we're going to be using again. Okay, so very simply you just have to click on save. Okay, so Hong Kong page is also done right now, and now we have to do our final web page, which is Chennai. So for Chennai also we'll be using the same layout. Okay, nothing changes. So I'm just going to come over here and say file, save as, create a copy and say I want to save it as Chennai. Okay, and click save. So now you can see over here we have 3 files, a London, a Hong Kong and a Chennai. Okay, so you don't need to start from scratch again when it comes to creating a new web page. You can use the same layout again. So once again I'm going to change this text. It's going to become Chennai, and I'm going to delete this image and I'm going to get the correct text. It's going to be show temple, Control C, come over here, Control V. This is a sub heading, paragraph format, heading number 3. Keep the cursor over here. Now they are giving you some specific instructions saying include the image show that you saved in part A of task AG2. Okay, so you have to use this specific image which you created in task AG2. So I have it over here. I'm just going to say copy, Control C, and I'm going to come over here and say Control V. So alternate text, I'll simply say show, and image is way too big. As you can see, it's taking too much of space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. My image has been selected, and you can see over here I have my width and my height. Okay, you see this padlock symbol. This padlock symbol means when the width changes, automatically change the height, so it will be proportionally changing. Okay, if you do not want it to change proportionally, you can just come and click on this padlock. It gets unlocked, so you can change it according to your wish. But if you want it to change proportionally, where when the width is changed, the height also changes, then I would recommend you lock this. So I'm just gonna divide it by 10. I'm just gonna make it 272 and press enter. So automatically the height gets adjusted to 300. And I'm just going to come and double click on the border of the table so everything fits properly. Can you see this border? Just double click and everything will automatically fit. Okay, so your Chennai web page has also been done. You can go on and say save. Okay, so all 3 web pages have been created. London, Hong Kong, Chennai, all have been created. Let's move on to our next question. Make sure that your web pages are fit for purpose, and you're supposed to do this area. Open a new document, enter these details in the footer and save the document as task WA1. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now. Right click, new Word document, task WA1, open it and directly head for the footer. You're supposed to type task WA1, your name, candidate number and your center number. Okay, so close the header and footer. That's done. Next, the question paper tells you to for each of the 3 web pages, display the web page on the screen. Make sure all content is visible. Take a screenshot of the web page, paste a screenshot into task WA1. So you can take a screenshot by clicking on this live button itself, but I want to show you all something different. Let's open it with our web browser itself. Okay, and take a screenshot from the web browser. So we'll start off with London. I'm going to open up London and give it a few seconds. Okay, so there you go, you have London. Not all the content is visible, so I'm going to zoom out slightly. Okay, I'm going to zoom out slightly. You can press Control plus the minus button, the dash button, it will zoom out. Okay, now all the content is visible, so I'm going to take a screenshot right now. Print screen. Okay, print screen, come to task WA1 and press Control V. Now guys, let me just show you what happens when I click on the home page. When I click on home, look, it's going to index.html. Can you see? It's going to the address that they told us to send it to. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is also working. I'm going to zoom out, Control minus. Okay, all the content is visible. Take a screenshot and I'm going to come over here and say Control V. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to my third one, which is Chennai. Let's click on Chennai. Chennai is also working. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, take a screenshot, print screen, come over here, Control V, and there you go. So you have Chennai, you have Hong Kong, and you have London. All three web pages have been, screenshots have been taken. Okay, so then moving on, make sure that all the content is clearly visible. Okay, resave, and then you can print it. Okay, then you have task WA2. So now WA1 is done, so let's close WA1 and click on save. I have to open a new document, task WA2, enter these details. Okay, let's do that. Right click, new document, task WA2, and immediately head for the footer. Task WA2, your name, candidate number, and your center number. So I'm just going to close the header and footer. Okay, so the first question goes as, answer these questions on document task A2. Identify one formatting technique you have used and where you have used it on your web page. Okay, so when it comes to formatting techniques, you can talk about font color, font size, you can talk about table borders, you can talk about the table width. Okay, basically anything that you use to make your web page more attractive or more organized is known as a formatting feature. So I'll talk about the headings. Okay, I can explain it well, so I'll talk about the headings. So it says identify one formatting technique. Okay, so question number A1. So A1, I'll talk about headings. Okay, so that's the technique I used. Give one reason for using this technique. I used heading, I use different headings so as to clearly show what is the main heading and what is the main heading and what are the sub headings. Okay, so I use this heading feature to show what is the main heading and what are the subheadings. You remember, right? For the main heading I said heading 1, and for the others I said heading 2 and heading 3 respectively. Okay, so then the question goes on to so when it comes to this, you can talk about your font color, and if you can give a proper reason, yes, go ahead. Okay, so for me, explaining about the heading was easy, that's why I went for heading. But if you want, you can talk about width, the table borders, the what you call background color. All of these are formatting techniques. Okay, it says over here in part B, resave task WA2. Do this part. Let's quickly resave this. Next part says open your London web page, display the source code for the web page. Okay, highlight the link to your Hong Kong web page. Okay, now if you go to your London web page and if you right click and say view page source, it will basically show you the HTML coding that has been done for this web page. Okay, so over here it says highlight the link to your Hong Kong web page. Okay, so you're supposed to show the coding that links your London web page to Hong Kong. So now if you're good at HTML, you can easily figure it out. Okay, you can easily figure out it's somewhere over here, which you can see here. It says ahref. Okay, but if you're not good, say you're not very good at HTML coding part, I'll give you a quick tip. What you can do is you can come to Dreamweaver and come to the London web page, and you see this is where the Hong Kong link is now. So what you do is you just simply select this text. Now when you select this text, automatically in the code side it gets selected. Okay, so you simply come over here and there you go. Do you see the text has been selected? Okay, so what did the question ask us? The question told us to show the coding that was used to connect the that was used to create a hyperlink to the Hong Kong web page, right? So the hyperlink to Hong Kong is over here. So what you do is you simply select Hong Kong, and if you go to the code view, it will show you the code that was used to create that hyperlink. Okay, so just select this entire sentence. That's it. Okay, this is the coding that was used to create a link to the Hong Kong web page. Okay, so what does it say over here? Copy the code that you have highlighted, paste the highlighted code into task WA2. So you can simply say Control C, and you can come over here to your task WA2. There's a small mistake over here. This is not B, this is okay. And then we have question number B over here, and this is the coding that we have to enter. So that's also done. Okay, make sure that the code, the Hong Kong web page is clearly visible. Resave task WA2, resave it, and then you can go ahead with printing it. Okay, now those of you, just a quick this thing, if those of you who are okay with copying the code from the web browser, you can simply come over here, select it, and you can say Control C and go to Microsoft Word and say Control V. Okay, basically the same thing. Okay, those who are not very good with the coding or might find coding a bit difficult, you can do it through Dreamweaver. Okay, no problems at all in whichever method you use. Okay, so yeah, next we have database software coming up. Okay, so I hope you guys were pretty clear. I hope that you guys, understood whatever was explained over here when it came to web authoring. If you have any questions, you can drop a comment below, or you can even email me with your questions. Okay, see you in the next video then. Take care.